This is the truth about fuel system cleaners. Which ones actually work, which ones are expensive snake oil, and the critical limitation that almost no product marketing will tell you about. If you've ever stood in the auto parts aisle staring at a wall of bottles all promising to restore your engine's lost power and smooth out that rough idle, you've probably wondered whether any of these actually do anything. The answer turns out to be more complicated than a simple yes or no. Some products contain proven chemistry backed by OEM recommendations from BMW, GM, and Toyota, while others are basically expensive kerosene. And here's the part that might surprise you, because according to independent laboratory testing, the single most effective additive you can use isn't an additive at all. Better gasoline does more than any bottle on the shelf. Let's break down what's actually happening inside your engine, why modern cars build up deposits faster than ever before, and which products deserve your money. Carbon deposits form through a predictable cycle that starts with incomplete combustion. When fuel doesn't burn completely, residue accumulates on your injector tips, intake valves, and combustion chamber surfaces over time. Short trips make this worse because engines that never reach full operating temperature can't burn off what's accumulating. Your crankcase ventilation system adds another layer to the problem, with oil vapors from the PCV system coating intake surfaces and then baking into hardened carbon through repeated heat cycles. What these deposits actually do to your engine comes down to disrupted fuel delivery and airflow. Fuel injector deposits restrict spray patterns, causing lean running conditions, rough idle, and misfires that compound over time. A clogged injector can't atomize fuel properly, and that leads to incomplete combustion, which creates more deposits in a vicious cycle that feeds itself. Intake valve deposits disrupt airflow into your cylinders and create turbulence that throws off air-fuel mixing. And in severe cases, these deposits can build up to a quarter-inch thick, sometimes even half an inch. Combustion chamber deposits act as hotspots that cause pre-ignition and knock, which can actually damage pistons over time.
Here's where things get interesting for anyone driving a newer car. Modern direct injection engines suffer from this problem far more than older designs, and the reason comes down to fuel routing. Traditional port-injected engines spray fuel over the backside of your intake valves, and detergents in the fuel continuously wash away deposits as part of normal operation. GDI engines work differently by injecting fuel directly into the combustion chamber at over 2000 psi, which means that fuel completely bypasses the intake valves. Those valves only see air, and that allows oil vapors from your PCV system to accumulate with nothing washing them away. Problems typically show up around 20,000 to 30,000 miles in GDI engines, which is way sooner than port-injected cars experience issues. And as of 2024, 73% of new vehicles sold in the US use GDI technology. So this isn't some niche concern affecting a handful of sports cars. This affects most new vehicles on the road today. Not all fuel additives use the same chemistry, and this is where you separate the real products from the marketing hype. A clear hierarchy exists in this space. At the bottom sits PIB, which stands for polyisobutylene, and it's a basic hydrocarbon polymer used in budget gas treatments. PIB acts as a carrier and dispersant, but it lacks the molecular structure to actively dissolve deposits, which means it can help prevent new buildup, but cannot remove what's already there. The middle tier belongs to PIBA, polyisobutylene amine, which adds a polar amine group that gives it mild cleaning capability. PIBA can remove some deposits from injectors and intake valves in port-injected engines, but here's the thing. It breaks down at combustion chamber temperatures. Industry research calls PIBA basic maintenance only. PEA sits at the top, and that stands for polyetheramine. Chevron first developed this chemistry in the early 1980s, and it remains the gold standard today. What makes PEA special comes down to its molecular structure, where the polar amine bonds to acidic carbon deposits, while the polyether backbone stays stable at temperatures up to around 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. That thermal stability means PEA can clean not just injectors and valves, but combustion chambers and piston tops, where other detergents simply burn off before they can do anything useful. PI concentration varies dramatically between products, and this is where label reading actually matters. Analysis of safety data sheets shows Redline SI1 contains 30 to 40% PA, which is the highest you'll find at retail. Gamout Regain High Mileage runs 20 to 30%, and Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus contains 10 to 20%. And then there are products people assume work the same way but don't. Lucas Fuel Treatment contains PIB, not PEA. Seafoam contains zero PEA because it's 100% petroleum-based solvents. Seafoam works great for fuel stabilization during storage, which makes sense given it was originally invented in the 1930s for outboard motors, but it's not an injector cleaner in the same chemical category as PEA products. The most rigorous public testing comes from AAA's 2016 laboratory study, which used ISO 17025 certified protocols on a Ford 2.3-liter port-injected engine over 100 dynamometer hours that simulated about 4,000 miles of driving. The results were striking and came down to a simple comparison between fuel quality levels. Top tier. Gasoline, which meets the enhanced detergent standard created by automakers, produced an average of 34.1 milligrams of deposit per intake valve. Non-top tier gasoline produced 660.6 milligrams. That's 19 times fewer deposits just from using better gas, and that difference showed up in every test run. When vehicles in the study switched from non-top tier to top tier fuel, their existing deposits decreased by 45 to 72% over 5,000 miles of driving. Long-term use of budget fuel caused 2 to 4% fuel economy reduction and 180 to 200% increase in carbon monoxide emissions. The cost difference between these fuel grades? About 3 cents more per gallon for top-tier fuel, and that's it. Motor Trend partnered with RC Engineering to test pour-in cleaners specifically, and RC Engineering brought 18 years of professional injector service experience to the testing. They used a 1994 Acura Integra with 210,000 miles on it and measured everything on an actual flow bench. Baseline injector flow measured 244 to 246 cubic centimeters per minute with a good spray pattern. After running a full tank with a pour-in cleaner, the numbers showed zero change, with the same flow rate and same pattern as before. Professional ultrasonic cleaning told a different story, improving injector flow to 250 to 252 cubic centimeters per minute and basically restoring them to near new specifications. John Park from RC Engineering put it bluntly when he explained that effective injector cleaning requires stronger chemicals than can legally be sold in stores for use with emissions-controlled vehicles. YouTube mechanic Chris Fix documented similar results with bore scope tests on a 120,000-mile vehicle. After one bottle of fuel system cleaner, his assessment was that it did not clean the cylinders as much as he thought it would. A second bottle produced what he called very, very minor improvement. His conclusion was that claims of one bottle will clean the engine were not substantiated by what he actually observed. Here's the critical limitation that almost no fuel additive marketing will tell you about, and it affects most new car buyers directly. Pour-in additives cannot clean GDI intake valves, and that's not a maybe or a sometimes. That's a hard limitation of the chemistry. The reason comes back to how GDI engines route fuel. Fuel injects directly into the combustion chamber and completely bypasses intake valves, which means no amount of detergent added to your fuel tank can reach the backside of those valves, where carbon accumulates. CRC Industries states this explicitly in their technical documentation, noting that in-tank fuel additives have zero effect on GDI intake valves because fuel never washes over them. Pour-in additives can still do useful work for GDI engines in the areas where fuel actually makes contact. They can clean fuel injector tips because fuel touches there directly, they can clean combustion chambers, and they can help prevent deposits in areas that fuel reaches during normal operation. But intake valve carbon requires a different solution entirely. What actually cleans GDI intake valves comes down to two main options. Spray-through intake products like the one CRC makes claim 46 to 68% carbon removal within 60 minutes of application. The other option is walnut shell blasting, which requires removing the intake manifold for access. Some newer vehicles solve this problem at the factory with dual injection systems that use both port and direct injection, like Toyota's D4S system. For GDI owners, the practical approach means using pour-in cleaners for your injectors and combustion chambers, then supplementing with intake spray treatments on a regular schedule. Based on verified chemistry and independent testing, here's what's actually worth buying and when each product makes sense. Redline SI1 at $15 to $18 delivers the highest retail PEA concentration at 30 to 40%, plus synthetic upper cylinder lubricant, which makes it the strongest cleaning option available without going to professional-grade products. Chevron Techron carries official recommendations from GM, BMW, Hyundai, and Mercedes-Benz, and many automakers actually sell rebranded Techron as their house fuel cleaner under different labels. Gumut Regain High Mileage at around $4.50 to $8 offers 20 to 30% PEA, which is comparable to products costing twice as much and makes it the best value option if budget matters. Professional shops often use BG44K, which runs $20 to $30 per bottle. Dealerships for Mercedes, GM, and Jaguar stock it as their standard product, and a 2012 industry study showed BG products were preferred 4-to-1 over competitors among dealership service departments. And if your injectors are truly fouled with measurable flow restriction and misfires, the honest answer is that professional ultrasonic cleaning remains the only proven effective solution. No bottle poured into your tank delivers the same results, regardless of what the label promises. Fuel system cleaners exist on a spectrum from legitimate maintenance products to pure marketing hype, and knowing where each product falls on that spectrum matters for your wallet. PEA-based cleaners from Redline, Techron, and Gumut represent proven chemistry backed by OEM recommendations and decades of use. But independent testing shows they work as maintenance tools, not miracle cures. They perform best at preventing deposits and less well at removing severe buildup that's already established. The most cost-effective strategy, according to ADA's research, starts with top-tier gasoline used consistently, since it's only 3 cents more per gallon and produces 19 times fewer deposits than budget fuel over time. Adding a PEA-based cleaner every 10,000 to 15,000 miles provides extra insurance against deposit buildup. And if you're driving a GDI engine, understanding that no pour-in product touches your intake valves means planning for supplemental cleaning methods down the road. The honest truth about one bottle that cleans the entire fuel system comes down to realistic expectations. For port-injected engines with mild deposits, a quality PEA product can genuinely help restore performance. For everything else, temper your expectations and maybe save your money for professional service when you actually need it.